Yeah, good morning, students. So let me start the session. Can you hear my voice, students? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
It's good. Okay. See, last class we discussed about inheritance, right? So last class we discussed about the fundamentals of inheritance, right? So now I'll be asking a few questions. Please try to answer. Can you name the superclass here? What is the name of the superclass in this block of code? Yes,
Class A,
students?
sir.
Very good. So A is the superclass. That's good. And what is the subclass here? What is the name of the subclass?
B, sir.
Very good. So B is the subclass, right? And this is what we have seen in the previous class. And let us see the syntax of writing. The syntax of writing inheritance. So what's the syntax? This is the syntax, right? So this is how we are going to inherit, right? So here class B is trying to inherit a class called A. So whenever one class wants to inherit another class, so what is the general form? And what is the general form or what is the syntax? Okay. By seeing this, we can easily write a general form of the syntax. Okay. Let me write a general form of the syntax. As you know that class is a keyword. Okay. What is B? B is nothing but it is subclass. Just you can write subclass. Extends is a keyword. Extends is a keyword. And what is A? A is a superclass. This is a general form or the syntax of inheriting one class into another class. Okay. So in exam, if you want to write inheritance, okay, I should write this definition of inheritance. So this is a definition of inheritance which you need to write it and followed by the general form. This is a general form or we call this as a syntax of your inheritance, then corresponding example which illustrates an inheritance. Right? So this so you need to write in your exam. So when they're asked to write about inheritance, right? Now, and most important thing here is now here class B is inheriting a class called A. Since class B is inheriting a class called A, okay, what I'm going to inherit when class B is going to inherit a class called A, I'm going to inherit all the members of the class called A. I'm going to inherit all the members. When I say all the members, I'm going to inherit instance variable called I. I'm going to inherit an instance variable called J, and I'm going to inherit a method called show ij. So these three I am going to inherit inside my class called B. Is it right? Now, one important thing here it is there. One important concept you need to understand here. Now, let me put this definition. This definition above. You see that a subclass includes all the members of its superclass, but it cannot access those members of the superclass that has been declared as private. What it means, so up to now we have seen that, okay, uh, class B, when it's trying to inherit another class called A, is going to inherit all the members, right? That's what I used to tell. But the most important thing is, okay, when a class B is trying to inherit class A, it is going to inherit all the members, but except private members, except except private members, except private members, except is very very important, except private members, yeah, except private members, my class B is going to inherit all the members of the class called A. Now let us see inside class called A, is I is private member? No, I is not a private member. So that's why I'm going to inherit. Is I is a private member? No, I is not a private member. So that's why my class B is going to inherit. Is show ij method is a private member? No, it's not a private member. So that's why I'm going to inherit show ij. See, by default, that's very, very important. In Java, in Java, in Java, in Java, by default, in Java by default, all the members, all the members, all the members of the class, all the members of the class are very, very important. All the members of the class are public. That's very, very important. It's very, very important. By default, all the members of the class are public. Is it right, student? That's a very, very important thing you need to keep. In Java, it's very, very important. Java, by default, all the members of the class are public. You see the students inside my class call A, inside my class call A, I have not specified any access specifiers. What is this access specifiers? I think I have discussed with respect to C++. What are access specifiers, right? What are access specifiers? Public, private, and protected. Okay. What are access specifiers? Let me write here. Uh, access specifiers. Okay. Access specifiers. Okay, what are access specifiers, students? We have seen, and we have seen public, private, and protected. So these three are access specifiers. So first one is public, and second one is private, and third one is protected. Okay, and that's what I would like to say. So by default, all the members of the class are public. You see that inside my class called A, I have not used any access specifier. You see that inside my class called A, I have not used any access specifier. Since I have not used any access specifier, by default, all the members of the class are public. By default, all the members of the class are public. Now I want to make one of the member as private. Now I want to make one of the member as private. How to make it as a private? Let us assume I want to make this I as a private. In order to make it private, I need to prefix with a keyword called private. This is how you write it. This is the syntax. It's very, very important. And that's what I said. Okay, the syntax varies from one language to another language. So with respect to C++, we have seen some different syntax. We used to write private colon, right? But with respect to Java, we need to prefix with a keyword called private. So once I prefix with a keyword called private, now this I is going to become a private data. Is going to become a private instance variable. This is a private. This is a private instance. This is a private instance variable. A private data member. Okay. But you see that here for int j, there is no keyword called private. Since there is no keyword, nothing is there. There is no access specifier. If there is no access specifier by default it is public. By default it is public. You see that with this void show j I j I have written, right? Before that I have not prefixed. You see that I have not prefixed any access specifier. Since I have not prefixed any access specifier, and by default this is also is a public. It is also a public method. Okay, how to make a public method as a private method? A gender will never make, say student will never make method as private. Let us assume I want to make it, means just you need to prefix with a keyword called private. We'll never do it. We'll never make a method as private. Okay, in case you want to do it, this is how you should do it, private. You should prefix with a keyword called private, right? Yeah. Now you see that here. Now you see that here. Uh, as you see in this example, okay. Now my class B, what my class B is trying to do? My class B is going to inherit. My class B is going to inherit a class called A. When my class B is going to inherit a class called A, what members it is going to inherit from? A class called A. So since my class B is going to inherit a class called A, it is going to inherit all the members of the class called A, but except private members. That's very, very important. My class B is going to inherit all the members of the class called A, but except private members. As you see that here, I'm having only one private member, that is int I. So except int I. So except int I, my class B is going to inherit. It's going to inherit J, and not in that, it's going to inherit the method called show ij. It's going to inherit an instance variable called j, and it's going to inherit a method called show ij. Is it right, students? Is it right? I hope you understood how to make an instance variable as private. In order to make it, the most important thing is you need to prefix with the keyword called private. Prefix with the keyword called private. Okay. So the most important thing is we call this public, private, protected as access specifiers. Okay. This protected we'll see later. But today's class we'll discuss this private and public. Okay. So let me clear all my drawings. Let me clear. Yeah. Now let me try to create an object of a class. I hope you understood my discussion. Okay, I hope you understood my discussion. Let me try, and always let me put in 2 frames so that you can see the class side by side, right? See what I'm doing, you can see it. Otherwise, I have to scroll down up and down. Yeah, fine. Let me open one more notepad. Okay. Uh, let me open one more notepad so that it will be nice for you. You can visualize clearly side by side, right? Yeah, fine. So let me share my screen. Yeah, students, I hope you can see the both notepads, right? So now let me write a class called demo. Yeah. Inside my class called demo, let me create an object of a class called A. Okay. Now into this, so let me give the name of this object as super OB, and the type of the super OB is nothing but this A. Okay. And similarly, let me create an object of a class called B. Okay. And let me give the name for this as sub OB. Okay. And the type of this is nothing but is B. Right. Now let me do it. Super OB dot I equal to 10. Super OB dot J equal to 20. Super OB. So students, you need to find which one is valid statement and which one is invalid statement, right? That is my intention here. Okay. Yes. Let me make it in sub OB. 60. Yes, students, now you're ready to go. Already some students are typing the answers. I don't like to click. We'll see later. Because if I click, all can see because I'm sharing my desktop screen. This is line number 1, line number 2. And just you can tell which line it is in error or which line is invalid statement. 3, 4. This is line 5. This is line 6. This is line 7. This is line 8. This is um, this is 9. This is 10 line number. This is 11. This is line number 12. Yes, students. Now it's your turn. Yeah, give them the answer. I can see that some students are typing. Anyhow, I'll open that later. Let other students give a try. Yeah. Yes, students. Uh, so based on discussion, what we have seen, I can give your answer.
Sir, 5 is wrong. 5, 6, and 10, sir.
Second, let me do 5, 6,
6 and
and
10. 10, sir.
I know your good name, please.
Sir, Padmaja, sir.
Yes, Padmaja, that's fine. And now let me open the answers from other students. Now let me click the chat box. So Rahul has typed sub ob dot I is invalid. Okay, Rahul says that it is invalid. Okay, fine. Mohitra says that 5, 10, 3 and 11. 3 and 11. Okay, Mohitra says 3 and 11. Okay, Mohit. Okay. Chandini says super ob dot 40. Okay, 6 already have circled. Vaishnavi says that Chandni 5 and 6 also she says. Okay, fine, Chandni. And Vaishnavi says that 5, 6, 10. So 5, 6, 10. That's what Chandni says. Okay, fine. Vaishnavi says 5, 6, 10. And Chandni also says 5 and 6. 5 and 6. Okay, fine. That's good response from students. So Vaishnavi says 11 also is invalid. Okay, fine. That's good. Okay, fine. Okay, that's good response. That's a good response from the students. Okay, fine. So now let us try to identify it. Okay. See, as I said several times, in order to answer a question something like this, as a beginner, okay, students, please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. See, as I said several times, as a beginner, what you should do, you need to draw the diagrams. Okay, I have created an object called new A. Right, I have created an object. I created an object. And what an object contains? An object always contains instance variables. So I've created an object of a class called A. So inside this class called A, how many instance variables I have? I have 2 instance variables. One is I and one more is J. So my object will have instance variable, that is I and J. Okay, I and J. Is it right, students? No. And what is the name of this object? I given the name for this object as super OP. So let me put super. Let me put super OP. Okay. Next. Now, inside this class A, I'm having only one method called showIj. So with respect to this object at super OB, I can call a method called showIj. I can call a method called showIj. Okay, as I said in previous class, you need to write the corresponding methods which belongs to that particular class, right? ShowIj. Using the super OB, I can call this showIj method because showIj belongs to a class called A. Now let me create. So you see that next again I'm creating one more object, that is object of a class called B. So let me try to create one more object. Okay, and this object, and what is the name of this object? The name of this object is sub OP. So let me give the name of object as sub OP. Sub OB is nothing but the name of the object. And what an object contains? An object contains instance variables. So what instance variable is having? My class B. Sub OB is nothing but an object of a class B. My class B is having one instance variable, that is K. It has an instance variable called K. And not only that, you know that my class B is trying to inherit a class called A. When class B is going to inherit a class called A, it's going to inherit only public members, but is not going to inherit private members. In other words, my class B is going to inherit all the members of the class called A. Is going to inherit all the members of the class called A, but except 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 private members, except private members, except private members. Okay, except private members. Okay, my class is going to inherit all the members. Which one is private here? You see that I is private. Since I is private, my class B is not going to inherit I. But what is going to inherit? It's going to inherit J. Is going to inherit show IJ. So therefore, as you know that J is a instance variable. So my sub OB will have an instance variable called J. Okay. Now what are the methods my sub OB can access? It can access show IJ. It can access show IJ. Why it can access show IJ? Because it has inherited. Because it has inherited from this superclass show IJ. And not only that, you see that my class B is having a method called show K. It can access show K also. It can access show K. Now by seeing the diagram, we can easily make it out which one is valid and which one is invalid, right? Now let us do that. Now I done super OB dot I. Super OB dot I. I can access this, and someone has said that I believe Rahul has said that it is an invalid. Is it correct, student? Super OB is an invalid? Yes, that's very good. Your answer is correct. Super OB dot I is an invalid. You can tell, sir, super OB dot I can access. Yes, you can access, but the most important thing you need to observe, you see that I made this I. What is this I? What is this I? This I is a private. You see that I is a private. I is a private. Okay. You see that I prefix with private. So anything which is private, as I said several times, anything which is private can be accessed within this class, within this opening floor brace and within this closing floor brace. And within this opening floor brace and closing floor brace, you can access I. Why? Because I is a private. Anything which is private, it can be accessed within the class. You can never access outside of the class. As you see that here, super ob.I, where I'm trying to access. I'm trying to access inside the class called demo. Is that right? I'm trying to access I inside the class called demo. But what private says? A private says that anything which is private can be accessed within the class. And since I made I as private inside the class called A, I can access I within this class only. That is within this opening floor brace and closing floor brace. This is the range. So within this range only I can access, right? But outside of this, I can't access. And therefore, super OB.I is an invalid statement. That's correct. So it's an invalid. It's an invalid statement. I hope you understood this. So you can't set the value here, right? You can't set it, right? Yeah. Next, I've written super OB.j. Students, now you should see when you see something statements like this, first you need to check whether what is the access specifier for this instance variable, and what's the access specifier for this instance variable called J. It is public. Since it is public, see, public means I can move. See, something, I think you know, I think I've discussed this. Anything public means anyone can use. Anything public means anyone can use. Anything which is private means only that particular person can use, right? So you see that I is private. Since I is private, only class A can use, because it's a private property. It's a private property of class called A. So that's why only this I can use within the class called A. It's a private. It is private to, this I is private to a class called A. But as you see that J is public. J is public means anyone can use. Not only A, it can be used by anyone. Means this J can be used by class called A. It can be used by class called B. It can be used by class called demo, because a public is a public property means anyone can use, right? And that's what the same thing concept you should keep in your mind. But I just let me clear my drawings. Let me clear all the stuff here. Yeah. Let me clear it so that it looks clear for you, so that they can see properly, right? Yeah. Yeah. Just fine, students. So it is very important. You should check the access specifier or J. As you see that here, with respect to J is a, I think just now we had J is a public, because by default all the members of the class are public. Since J is public, I can access super ob.j, because super ob, this object contains an instance variable called J, so therefore I can access super ob.j. And next you see that I written super ob.k. Super ob.k, my object super ob contains a variable called k. It does not contain. Since it does not contain a variable called k, how I can access? I can't access, so this also is an invalid statement. Okay, so only one is valid statement, that is super ob.j is a valid, remaining two are invalid statements, right? Now let us move to here. Now next I've written sub ob.i. I've written sub ob.i. Okay, and what is the access specifier for before that? Sub ob.i. What is sub ob? This is an object. Inside this object I have an I. I don't have I. I don't have I. If I don't have I, how I can access this I? No, it is not possible. It's an invalid statement. It's an invalid statement, right? Next, super sub ob.j. Sub ob.j. Am I having j? Yes, I'm having j. Now let us check whether j is public or private. J is a public. Since j is a public, I can access, right? Next, sub ob.k. K is present inside sub ob. Yes, it is present. Now let us check whether k is public or private. As you see that k is public. Since k is public, I can access this. Yes, and next, super ob dot show ij. Okay, super ob can access show ij. Yes, it can access. It can access. It can access. Right? But you see that here there is no private access specifier, and therefore this is a valid statement. Right? Next, super ob dot show k. Super ob dot show k. Show k is a method belongs to show k is a method which belongs to class called B. But I'm trying to call with respect to object of a class called A, which is an invalid. So that's why you see the diagram. The diagram shows that a super ob can access only show ij, it cannot access show k, and therefore it's an invalid statement, right? So next let us move to sub ob dot show ij. Okay, now you see that sub ob can access show ij. Yes, it can access. So that's why it's a, okay, why you said it's an error? No, it's a valid statement. Okay, it's not invalid. Okay, this is wrong. I don't know who has said this. This is wrong. Okay, so you see that it can access. You see that my class B, what my class B is trying to do, my class B is going to inherit a class called A. When it's trying to inherit, it's going to inherit show ij also. So the show ij will be present inside my class called B. I'm going to inherit. This is a valid statement. It is not an invalid statement. Okay, this is wrong. Someone has said wrong. I don't know. Okay, it's a valid statement. Okay, this is correct. This is a valid statement. It's not invalid. Okay, and next you see that. Next, sub ob dot show k. Okay, this also is a valid statement because sub ob can access both these two methods, show ij and show k. Show k is a method belongs to a class called B. Yeah, I hope understood is private. The most important thing, students, is you need to focus anything which is private. Let me change it. Anything which is private is very, very important. Anything which is private, anything which is private can be accessed within the class only. When I say within the class, that is within this opening floor base and closing floor base. As you know that any, because this I said this I is a private property. Is a private to whom? This I is private to a class called A. Since I is private to class called A, I can use this I within this opening floor base and closing floor base. I can't use outside of this. I can't use outside of this. If I try to use outside of this closing floor base, it is an error. It is an error. That's the most important observation you need to do. But you see that in two cases, I'm trying to use I outside of class A. Okay. This is one instance where I'm trying to use. This is a second instance where I'm trying to use. I can't use. That's why these two statements are error, because I'm trying to use outside of the class called A. In other words, I'm trying to use inside the class called demo, and that's why it is an error. I can use I only within the class. You see that here I've used the I. Here I'm trying to access is a valid. Why? Because show ij is present inside the class called A, so therefore I can use it. But outside of the class, I can't use it. Right? That's a very important observation you need to understand. But anything which is public, it can be used throughout the program. Yeah. I finished my discussion, students. You have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I clear all my drawings. Any questions, students? Any questions? Any questions? No questions. Well and good. Fine. Let me remove all this stuff. Let me share my screen. That's what it says. That's what it says. A subclass includes all the members of its superclass. Okay, but it cannot access but it cannot access those members of the superclass that have been declared as private. Okay, that's the definition. That's what we have seen up to now. Yeah, fine. Now, let us see what's the importance of this inheritance. What's the importance of this inheritance? Okay. So why we need inheritance? As the next question you need to understand. Okay, you know how to use inheritance, right? You understood the concept of inheritance. That's well and good. So you have to understand the concept of inheritance. What is the importance of this inheritance? In other words, why we need to use this inheritance? Why we should use this inheritance, right? See, I think in previous class we have seen, see, and let me do it like this. In previous class, we have seen a class called, box. We have seen a class called box, right? And inside this class called box, we are having three instance variables, that is double, width, double, height, double, right? And we have a method called volume, void, volume. This method is going to compute the volume of a box, right? And so going like this, return width, height. Yeah. Since I'm trying to return, it's nothing but is double. Right, students? Now, so this is a class called box which I've written. And what this class box is trying to do, this class box is trying to compute. This class box is, I'm sorry, I've done a small mistake. It's no parenthesis. Yeah. You see that here, my class box, what's my class box is trying to do? My class box is trying to compute. Using this class box, I'm trying to compute the volume of a box. Is right? And we have seen this complete program. Now, let us assume that the boss has changed, a new boss came. Okay, actually what is program, in this program, okay, we are going to compute the volume of a box. So there are several boxes out there. Let us assume I'm running a box company. Okay, I'm making boxes. Okay, I'm creating several boxes. And for each and every several boxes will have different dimensions. Each boxes will have some different dimensions, right? And I think this we can do with respect to constructors, but anyhow my focus is not that. Okay, using constructors we have seen, right? But anyhow, let me write for your sake. Let me write it. So let me run the constructor. What's the name of the class? This box. Constructor. Let me write double H double. Let me erase this. Value height. Equal to double. Right? Let me remove this. Let me remove this. Let me remove this. Excellent. And let me erase this. Moving up. Yeah. Yeah. You see the students, the main intention of this code is, okay, I'm running a box company. Okay. So what I'm trying to do, I've written a software. What this software does, the software is trying to compute the dimensions of boxes. Okay, so this box is different dimension, and this box is different dimension, and one more box, this one box, like that. I'm going to uh, there are several boxes out there, and several boxes are of different dimensions. So this program works very well. Let us assume the boss has changed. Okay, new boss has arrived, the company, a new boss has arrived. And new boss says that, okay, a boss just says that, okay, it's very good that you're trying to find the dimensions, you're trying to compute the volume of the box, you're trying to compute the volume of a box. But I want to include an additional feature. What is the additional feature? Uh, Apart from volume of the box, I want to include the weight of the box. Very good that you're trying to compute the volume of the box. The new boss has come and said that apart from volume of the box, I want to include the weight of the box also. In such a case, what we can do it, probably you will be thinking that I'll go back here, I'll be editing the code. Editing the code, double, double weight, right? That's what we'll be telling. Okay, probably this may be a solution, but it's not a valid solution. It's not a good solution. Why it's not a good solution? Let us assume that you don't have access to this class. Let us assume you don't have access to this class. What I mean to say that you don't have access to this class. What do you mean by access to this class? In other words, you don't have rights to access, you don't have rights to edit this class. If you don't have rights to edit this class, then how I can include the weight of a box to this program? In such a case, what we can do it, okay, we can go for this inheritance. I can write this class, I can write this box weight extends box, right? Extends box. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm writing double weight. See that? You see the students? How nicely I've done? You see that? See now what's the intention here is, see, I'm not writing the code from the scratch. What's from the scratch? See, I'm not writing again. Since my boss has said that I need to include weight, I'm not writing the code from the scratch. In other words, when I say scratch, I'm not including all these variables. You see that? I'm not including all these variables. Let us assume I'm not extending. Okay, that's the meaning of writing the code from the scratch. I'm writing again the entire code from the scratch. Is the meaning. Entire code I'm writing from the scratch. You see that? Instead of writing the entire code from the scratch, what you can do, you can omit all this stuff. You can omit all this stuff. You can go for this inheritance. What you can write box weight extends a class called box. When I'm trying to extend, what's going to happen? And just now we are seeing that it's going. I want to put in a single frame. Up. Yeah. So you see that? Okay. So you see that's how nicely I've done. You see, now box weight, what it's trying to do? See, box weight class is trying to extend box. Since trying to extend box, all these three instance variables I'm trying to inherit. I'm inheriting. Is it right? As you see that the code volume, what the boss said that I need to include volume. I need to include volume. Along with volume, I need to include a weight. With this volume also, you see that I'm inheriting. I'm not writing the code from the scratch. See, the same existing code, I'm trying to use it. So advantage of inheritance is code reusability. The advantage of, let me change the color. What is the advantage of inheritance? The advantage of inheritance is nothing but it is code. Importance, the advantage of inheritance is code reusability. You see that I'm reusing the code. You see that the code which is present inside the class called box, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to reuse inside my class called box weight. That's what advantage is, the advantage or importance of inheritance. Is it right, students? Now, let me clear all this stuff. I see that I can do it. Okay, I can do it. What I can do it? Now I can do it here. Now next I'll write a constructor. What's the name of the class? Box weight is the name of the class. Box weight is the name of the class. So write box weight. So inside this, I'll writing all these things, Come on. Let me put weight as in. Oh, I'm sorry, I written width. I think it is weight. Double only. So mistake, students, is very important. It is weight because I want to include weight here. I want to include weight, right? That's what my boss has said. And double weight. Let me put it B. Weight. Let me take variable as WI. Okay. Constructor. Let me copy this. And next, what I should use? Weight. Students, in case the session gets terminated, you can use the same link to rejoin again. WI. Okay, see that? Now, what I can do? I can create an object, that is new box weight. So what I can do? 10, 20, 5, and the weight of the box is 100. So I'll create an object. And this, let me store in a variable called B1.